Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is January 26, 2020, and it is the Some Sort of Gaming podcast. Man, the past 3 or 4 weeks, I have not been setting up any news stories, so we're going to have to go along with what we can find during this introduction again, or whatever comes up in mind that we heard over the week. Let's start off with what... Oh, and LadyInfamous is out this week. Anyway, so it's Zeldrick and Unsheathed. What have you guys been doing today? Whichever one wants to go first.
I'll go first since mine was more uneventful than like ever before. So I was playing mainly Monster Hunter this week, and then halfway through the week, Comcast decided to say that, oh shit, you're 90% of your of your monthly cap. So I have not been able to stream. And because of that, Final Fantasy VII had to be put on hold. So I'm doing stuff on the internet as a like very needed basis. So the only thing I've been doing is playing Monster Hunter World, and I did play a little bit more of South Park: The Fractured But Whole, and I haven't been able to get any VR time in. So,
wait, did I just hear you say you were playing Fractured But Whole?
Yeah, that's actually
what inspired you to play that?
Well, first of all, it was because you played it. But but the other thing is that like I've been wanting to play it. It's nothing new actually. I've been playing it here and there, and I've been playing it for a while. So I'm just trying to beat that game on my own time, since it wasn't really something that anybody that I know or my friends wanted to watch me stream. So I thought I would be like, oh, I'll just kick back, and this will be like, oh, I'm playing an episode and I'll laugh at it, and then that's it.
Yeah, I just found it interesting because like LadyInfamous, I think, just started today too. So
yeah. She just started today. The other thing, was her and I played Bloodborne again the other day, and actually yesterday. And again, like that game, Bloodborne's a lot of fun. It was, and we are going through the DLC before, because the way that her friend is actually directing her towards like beating the game and getting to the credits is beating everything in the base game before Gehrman, and then we go through the DLC. And we just started the DLC. I think it was Ludwig is what we got stuck at for a while. And then we got to the research area. And for some reason, one of them couldn't get into her game. I'm not sure what the hell was going on. But we fought there for a little bit, and then we stopped. But that game's a lot of fun. And I'm telling you, T, that you should get back into it, because I could help you out.
I don't want to have to beat it again.
You never beat it in the first place. This fucker right here.
Maybe he's so good that
it's too easy.
He beat it on the fifth dimension.
But it's actually it's giving me like that Souls kick again. And I did play, this was like a few weeks ago, or actually, yeah, a few weeks ago, because it was in December, I believe, where I played a little bit of Sekiro, and I really want to get into that. So, anyways, yeah, my week was lackluster. I played a little bit of Monster Hunter on stream, and then everything has just been, I've been out in the dark. So, what about yours, T?
Wow, you just reminded me that we played Monster Hunter, and I don't even know when it was.
Monday.
It was Monday.
So, oh, it's last Monday.
Monster Hunter Mondays.
Oh yeah, so I played Monster Hunter. No, it was So yeah, I guess I'll start with that. Yeah, that kind of joined Zeldrick. Actually, was it Monday that I played it, or did we play on like Tuesday or something?
I'm pretty sure it was Monday. Okay. Because I had that time set up specifically for co-op with other people. And that's when you're like, if you're still doing it on Mondays.
Oh, that's right, because we had the day off. That's why. Okay.
Right.
So yeah, I guess we played Monster Hunter, which I had played in the past before with some friends on the Xbox One, but I was kind of joining Zeldrick to play on the PC. Which is it felt pretty similar. Obviously, the controls are a little bit different because I actually did keyboard and mouse. I want to see if that actually would provide any benefits compared to what I remembered for playing it on controller.
I honestly think it's a controller game.
It seems like it. Like I always pick like I use the bow and arrow, and just the controls to shoot were a little bit weird. Like I was expecting it to be like maybe it was like
A
just
standard
hold
shooter controller.
left click and he'll aim and then let go and he'll fire or something like that. But it was like if you press left click, he fires one automatically. If you press right click, he aims down the sights, and then you have to press left click again to fire. And it was, I don't know. To me, that just felt really counterintuitive. But I mean, it didn't prevent the game from being fun. The game was super fun. Especially when I actually was able to meet up with you guys. I don't know. Did we ever actually do a mission, Sharpie? I don't know.
Kind of. I don't know. Well, the fact that no, actually we did, except we destroyed the thing super fast.
Oh,
because
okay.
we were
Never mind. It was
overgeared.
that was the one that. Well, it wasn't even that. It was that I was like on the completely like I think maybe the other side of the map, getting chased down by that one Tyrannosaurus Rex looking thing. It begins with an A. I forget what it's called. Anjanath or something. Yeah. So I was getting attacked by him and like couldn't figure out a way to get away from him, while you guys were killing the other thing. So I never even got a chance to like get any hits on him. I never even got near them by the time they were like mission complete. But yeah, it was still super fun. I kind of like I think that was one of the things that I did learn from playing it the first time around, is that in terms of a game type, it's super fun to just kind of like go up with friends and go against like big sort of overbearing monsters. It's just, I mean, as I had mentioned while we were playing, I think just the interface kind of bugs me a little bit in terms of it doesn't feel like it makes it easy for you to get into a game and just go. At least not as easy as I want it to be. But yeah, Monster Hunter was fun. I also played some Dragon Ball Fighters. My friend Sam actually
Fighters, not Kakarot.
Oh no, I'm good. I think I saw like the best description of, at least it sounded like they probably had the opinion that I had, where they were like, for Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, they were like, it's I think it's like it was a perfect representation of a terrible kids cartoon. Which I'm like, yeah, that's kind of what I was like. That's what it kind of looked like to me. Like, yeah, it plays like Dragon Ball, but I don't know if that series is strong enough to hold up that type of game. But anyways, I didn't play it. I can't really say that much about it.
I will add on to that real quick that I also heard a good description of it, which was it's a lot of fun to play, but it's really flawed.
Okay. I could see
just
that.
Just like that clip that I posted on Discord of Moon saying he paid $100 for it.
That is not the reason why my quote came from.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not what they were talking about.
No.
The people just sliding away
just
during
sliding around the ground. Yeah.
But yeah, watching you play fighters was a lot of fun. Like you almost won a couple.
Yeah, I got close to winning one. I got down to like one hit. Or essentially, like if I would have got one more combo, I would have won. And then the other one, I think I might have got him down to the last character. But in general, that game's a fun game. I've always thought it was a really fun game. It's just, I know for me, it's extremely challenging. I find fighting games, like I can pick them up usually. And like once I learn a couple of moves and I can figure out some combos and I can just kind of play by intuition. But that becomes really challenging for me when you start having multiple characters that you have to like switch in between. That's why like King of Fighters always was like a tough prospect for me too. Because again, then you have to know 3 characters and you have to kind of understand how they can work together. When you tag them in and stuff like that, so you can keep combos going or use like assist moves and stuff like that to keep combos going or interrupt combos or something like that. So but overall, like I've always really enjoyed that game, especially doing the combo trials, because it's like I can do those relatively easy in most cases, and it just kind of like it showcases how cool of a fighting system it actually is. I think it looks like phenomenal. But yeah, I just wanted to play with him because he's really big into it. That's like his game. He actually just got but for a little while he's had a hitbox and he's just learning it now. So he was like, "Oh, let's play and we'll test it out." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I played it before. Like I might be able to give you a little bit of competition." Was not able to. Just like I said, almost won twice out of probably like 25 games or something like that. But yeah, played that. Finished up After Party, which After Party, again, really cool game. Really story heavy, which I like. I do enjoy story in games, but there was like when I think back about it, there was almost no gameplay in that game. There was like a lot of walking around, and then there was one dance battle that I did, and there was like a couple times where you drank, but really all it is like clicking and selecting dialogue options.
Were you
and then seeing it
expecting a
play
lot
it
of
out.
gameplay out of that game?
Honestly, like I didn't really expect anything out of the game other than that it would be a cool like story in a cool world. It's not like I was expecting it to have some kind of really deep system or something like that you would be able to play around in the while you're playing the game. But at the same time, I think there's something to be said that there is a such thing as like not enough gameplay in your video game. Like it's just like there's a such thing as too much story in your video game, which a lot of people said about, like, for example, Metal Gear Solid 4, where it's like you get a shit ton of story and there's gameplay too, but there might have been a little bit too much story. I think this is kind of the polar opposite, where it's like there's not enough gameplay, maybe a little bit too much. Well, sorry, maybe a little bit not enough gameplay, I guess is what I was trying to say.
To
Like
be
the
fair-
balance based on like the game's expectation.
What's that?
Like the balance between the game's expectation.
I'm not sure what you mean. What do you mean?
Like, okay, if you play like Life is Strange, you have an
Yeah.
expectation that it's going to be heavily dialogue based and heavily and less so on gameplay.
Well, I mean, in that game, the dialogue is the gameplay, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't know if there is anything else other than the dialogue to be gameplay. And I think that maybe that might be the problem, is that in this game there actually is something else, but there's almost none of it. Actually, Dream Daddy was a great example of that too.
That
which
is
I know
not a good example
No,
because that's a
but if you
visual
think
novel.
about it, yeah, I know. But if you think about it, they threw in a couple of little mini games. I think I remember playing like 3 or 4 mini games, and it basically, you get that, you're like, oh, that's pretty cool, and then you go back to like hours of talking. And I think like at that point, it's almost like you might as well just not throw in, like, do what Life is Strange did, and just make the actual dialogue the gameplay. Because if you put those couple little things in there, all it makes me do is want more of that and less of the talking. That's kind of why I was making the comparison. But I mean, either way, the game was super fun. Like, I enjoyed it a lot. And I think it was, I mean, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it like this? Was it the same developers as, was it Oxenfree?
I believe so.
I think it was, right? Because I remember that was one of the reasons why like LadyInfamous was super excited about it. I remember just seeing some a trailer for it at Day of the Devs when we saw it a couple years back, but I don't think I hadn't played Oxenfree at that point, so that wasn't really a factor in me being excited about it. But it was a fun overall game. I kind of feel like it would be hard to recommend though if somebody's like, I want a good game to play.
You are right. They made Oxenfree.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel like which I mean, I guess it's kind of similar. That game also was like a lot of walking and a bunch of story. So, I mean, I guess it is kind of in their style. But yeah, again, if you love it, if you like a good story and a cool universe and stuff like that, I would tell you to play it. But like, it'd be kind of hard to recommend to say like it's a good game. Like, it was only 6 hours or something like that long or something. And a lot of it was walking. Almost all of it was walking. And then the last thing I played was Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, which was like, that was just kind of like I got inspired to find something else to play since I knew I was coming to the end of After Party. So I just tried it like right after I finished, and it was cool. Like, it was one of those, I'd never really understood Marvel vs. Capcom games. I never really tried them. It's just like, it looks like there's so much going on the screen that it's like hard to track, which I guess Dragon Ball FighterZ is kind of the exact same thing. But I think after playing Fighters for a little bit now, like, Marvel vs. Capcom kind of makes more sense. So when I went to play it, like I was, learned a couple little combos and stuff like that, and then I liked it a lot. I mean, I can't argue with people's assessment that the characters look horrible, like they're hideous looking. Like I don't know who came up with that art style, but overall, the game seems like it'll be fun. Like I'm gonna play through the story mode.
I mean,
when
I
I
don't
get a
know
chance to,
what I don't know the exact reason why it was considered bad, but I think it's like the expectation compared to like MVC2.
Well, I feel like the main complaints that I heard was that the art style sucked in that people just didn't get the characters they wanted. Like, of course, everybody wants like the X-Men to be back in it and stuff like that, but they, people just thought that the roster was pretty weak.
Oh,
But as
okay.
far as I knew, like the people enjoyed the gameplay. But I don't know.
Well,
I'm just going off of one or two people I've heard talk about it.
The other thing is that like it's hard to come from like Marvel vs. Capcom 3 where the roster just exploded.
Oh yeah, it was
and then
huge.
you have Infinite, which is like so small and lackluster, and they added what, like 5 characters or something?
Yeah.
And then just immediately drop the ball and they're just like hands off of it.
Yeah, and even some of the characters that they carried over weren't even fan favorites. So I think there was just like, yeah, like I said, it was probably the roster more than anything else, I'd imagine.
Oh, so they didn't really persevere with the series.
Doesn't seem like it. I think everybody, like while Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite was out, people were already saying, "Where's Marvel vs. Capcom 4?"
Exactly.
Like they were already looking for something else. So, but yeah, like I said, I'll play it around a little bit more. But other than that, all I really did was I spent a little time to I was watching EVO Japan, which is super fun. Like one of the things that inspired me to do it was because Zeldrick told me before that he thought one of the most interesting games to watch competitively was Tekken 7, because I remember at EVO I was like, it's not that interesting, but I don't know why I was all into it this time around.
Yeah.
It's just like
Tekken 7 is so much fun to watch. It's intense.
Yeah, it was like a lot of back and forth, and like it almost seems like, I don't know, I know like there's like tiered characters in like a lot of fighting games, or actually most fighting games, they kind of come up with their tiered system. It almost seems like Tekken, it's like, I don't know if there's tiers. It's just kind of like, yeah, there might be, but it almost seems like anybody could win at any moment, even though in other games, like definitely Street Fighter 5, it doesn't necessarily feel like that way. Like it definitely seems like there's some characters like G that'll just like steamroll people.
That's what happened during EVO. Like G was steamrolling Street Fighter 5 during
and
EVO.
I watched that as well. Yeah, even though interestingly enough, somebody playing Sakura won.
Yeah.
Which is like, I don't know if I think I might have seen somebody play Sakura competitively like maybe twice. But I mean, it's also like I don't know, is Championship Edition out now? It's not yet, right?
No, I believe Championship Edition comes out when Seth does.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so maybe they don't have all those. I was thinking maybe she was better now because of all the adjustments they made or whatever, but I don't know, maybe people just figured her out. Maybe it just took a little bit of time. So
yeah.
But yeah, and then the last thing was just and I think I had mentioned this to you guys before. Like I was trying to do I'm doing another podcast that was completely different topic, nothing that's like competing with this one or whatever. But I spent a little time like doing Photoshop to like come up with a logo and sort of developing the idea for the podcast. So that actually took a significant amount of time, like Friday night and a little bit Saturday too. So, but yeah, other than that, just that was kind of it. Other than that, it's just standard work and then a couple times hanging out with friends. What about you, Sharpie?
Oh yeah. So, over like the course of like 3 days, like I think like Tuesday to Thursday. You know how I started keto like last week, and I was going. I'm guessing that this is what they call the keto flu, where you just feel extremely fatigued, like on your first week or so.
Right.
And that's exactly what happened for like 3 days. I was just like, oh my God, I like waking up was hella hard, and then going to sleep was hella hard. And like I like and then when I was awake, I was always tired and like I felt very weak, like physically weak. And I was like, oh, okay, this is, I think this is what people have been talking about. Like your first week of keto is just like, it's going to be hell.
It's interesting. Out of the times that I've done it, I've never gotten that.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like my body responds really well to keto.
Yeah, probably. But anyways, yeah, that's what I heard. And then I was like saying, oh, I wonder what that is. And then like it actually happened. And I was like, oh, I wonder if this is what people have been talking about. Because when I first heard of it, I thought people were like you feel sick. I didn't feel sick. I just felt weak. So in the end, I didn't really do much for like 3 days because I just felt hella weak. Like even typing was really hard.
Typing was really?
Yeah, like yeah, because it took a lot of mental energy. I don't know why.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyways, so during that time, I actually watched Parasite.
The anime version?
No, not the anime.
Well, I mean, like the one that was like the movie that's based off the anime.
No. I've seen that already, like a few years ago. But like the Korean movie.
Yeah, what'd you think?
It was excellent. It was
the most awesome, right?
Yeah. Although I wouldn't call it an A+ movie, I would call it an A- movie.
Okay.
But I would say like it's one of the greatest film I ever seen like this past decade.
I'd put it up there. I thought it was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, like I was kind of worried because I didn't like one of that guy's movie. Like what was his name? Like Bong Joon-ho or something like that.
What, the director?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know what other movies has he done. I don't know.
Oh God, what was the one? What was called? It was like 4 letters and 4 or 5 letters, and it was like something about it was about pig, like saving pigs or something like that.
Saving pigs, like a documentary or something?
No. It was not a documentary. It was what was it called? Oh yeah, it's called Okja or Okja. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard of it.
Yeah, it came out like 2 years ago, and I didn't really like that film. Yeah.
Got you. Wait, so where'd you watch it? It's not available anywhere on the net yet, right?
No, but I had ways to get it. Right?
Oh yeah.
So I was like saying, well, how am I supposed to watch this movie? It's not playing anywhere near me. So I was like, okay, well, next best thing is to do it the other way.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's what I ended up doing. And I was like, man, this movie's really good. Except, and what I found out was that the entire movie, other than that entire movie, it was the whole thing was a set. It was filmed on a set, including the street.
I mean, I assume they built that street.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit, that was a set? That's crazy.
I mean, yeah, it's still crazy. Even though I assumed it was a set, it's still crazy. That was like a phenomenal set.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there were some parts where I still had questions. I was like saying, wait, why did that happen? But I'm not going to get into it.
Sure.
Other than that, and then today, like right before this podcast, surprisingly, I did what you saw, which was Doom Annihilation.
I don't know why I did.
Yeah,
honestly, I don't know why I started watching it.
I don't know why either. It just kept popping up on my Netflix. So I was just like,
yeah, I think it was just like, I think I might have caught it when it was like brand new and they were just like, they had it like right on the homepage of Netflix when I opened it. So
yeah. So I watched that and I was like saying, yeah, I mean, it's not a bad Doom movie, but it's still bad.
Doom movie, dude.
Yeah, it's still bad.
What are those characters? What are they supposed to be?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I haven't played Doom, so I don't really know. Like, I mean, I've obviously seen like the skeleton guys with guns and stuff like that, but I don't know what the characters they created are supposed to be.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, really weird.
The BFG sequence was cool, though.
Well, I've seen this on the header for my Netflix for like ever since it came out, and I already knew not to watch it because I knew it was going to be bad. But maybe I should join the the Doom train.
Yeah, I mean, I would give
be
it like
doomed to
a
watch it.
6 for what it was supposed to be. As a movie, I would give it like a 3.
I'll give it a 3 for both, dude.
Really?
Yeah, that to me, like, it's another one of those ones where it's like, to me, it only felt like it was Doom in name.
Yeah,
It's
It'll
like,
be a
let's just
cold-
capitalize on the existing franchise.
It'll be a cold day in hell when we get
Aw,
a
jeez,
good
here we go.
a good video game movie. Back to this conversation, but I had to make the pun.
Of course.
Anyways, and then I watched the second season of Sex Education like all day on I think yesterday.
Is this
Maybe?
show that good?
Yeah, it's really good. It's hella funny and it can get like kind of semi-serious at times and dramatic in other times, and it transitions really well.
Okay.
Yeah, like I was just like, and then I was just laughing well, maybe not nonstop, but like it
Sure.
was
A lot.
definitely funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like even like the most awkward moments, I was like, yeah, that's hella funny. Anyways, video games. I played like most of what do you call it? Bloodstained again. And there was a part where I couldn't save for a long time, and then I died, and I was like, fuck, I don't want to play another 45 minutes of this again. So that's where I was like, you know what? Fuck this game. I'm stopping right here.
Oh, you just stopped. You're done.
I
You
just
get
stopped.
quit?
For now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was like, yeah, I don't, because you know that feeling where you don't save for a long time and you can't, and you don't have a choice to, and then like you just die and you have to start all the way back to that save point again.
Yes, I remember this from like 10 years ago.
Yeah,
And I hate it.
yeah. So that happened, and I was like, fuck, I don't want to do this again. So, so in the end, I was just like, you know what, fuck it, I'm uninstalling this for now. If I ever want to come back to it again at another date, I will.
Oh, sure.
Died so hard it made you uninstall a game.
Yeah.
That's actually really funny.
Yeah. So then I started Hitman 2, and I was like, you know what? I'm actually enjoying this game a lot. So yeah, I was surprised because the tutorial level, I was like, this is the exact same tutorial from the first Hitman game.
Is it the boat?
Yeah, the boat.
Oh, okay. I mean, it might have been like a homage to the first one.
No, it was the exact same one. Everything was placed exactly the same way.
Well, I'm sure that like it was very helpful to a wide variety of people. So like why reinvent the wheel?
Mhm.
Like just do the same exact thing.
Yeah. Well, not only that, like I noticed like, I was like saying, okay, I'm ready to start this. I'm just gonna skip through like the second portion of the tutorial because I already know what's gonna happen. And then
Okay.
I ended up, and then I was like, wait, these are all from Hitman 1. What the fuck? Right? Like the actual campaign portion. And I was
Right.
like I know I'm definitely played this mission before, and I was like, I definitely played that mission before. And then I noticed that on the top menu, like as if it was the main menu, like, oh, there's a section for Hitman 2. And I was like, oh, what the fuck? They put the entire Hitman 1 game in this too? Like, I was like, damn, people who didn't play the first game and just bought this
Wait, like
second
the
one just
original?
gotta, yeah.
Or like
Wait.
the season 1.
No, like the original, like Hitman 1, like the the reboot Hitman 1.
Oh, okay.
So wait a minute. So do you have Hitman 1?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, but do you have it installed as well?
No,
Oh, okay. That's a separate section, like on your Steam library?
yeah,
Huh, weird. That's I don't know how to explain that one.
yeah. So like, and then I read that it's like saying, oh yeah, if you bought the gold edition, like then you get like all the legacy levels too, or something like that. I don't remember, like the deluxe edition or gold edition. You also get the legacy maps. And I was like,
Are you But is that like the season pass sort of edition?
No,
where
no,
you
no.
get that?
Season pass just means additional maps for Hitman 2.
Got it.
Yeah. So I was like, what the fuck? Like, dude, if you don't buy Hitman, if you never bought Hitman 1, Hitman 2 is a value. Like,
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
sure. Yeah.
yeah. So I was like saying, okay, I'm skipping through the entire Hitman 1 section, and then Hitman 2. I was like, yeah, this is definitely fun. And then, you know, I played on the normal, I would say normal, like finger quoting here, normal difficulty, which is professional. And then on this first mission, and I was like saying, okay, that was a little too easy. And then I tried playing through the harder difficulty, which you only get one chance to save, and I was like, yeah, this is way harder, and there's way more people, and there's way more security cameras and stuff like that have to take out. And yeah, I couldn't finish it.
Is that how they make it more difficult?
Yeah.
Like they actually add more cameras and stuff like that
Yeah.
too? Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, and then like less resources to use. Like I wouldn't call this a spoiler, but in the first mission, like you have to access like a hidden area to before anybody shows up. Like you have to access like this hidden area, and then like there's like a wall of weapons, and the wall of weapons in the professional difficulty, there's a lot, and then on the harder difficulty, it's like significantly less, or maybe not significantly less, but about half of them are gone. I wouldn't know if that's considered significant or not, but yeah, about half of them are gone. So yeah.
So I have an answer about like what happened with your game with Hitman 2. So they Hitman 2 and Hitman 1 are actually both completely different games. But there is a Game of the Year Legacy Pack. And this pack comes with all the missions in the Hitman 1, but Hitman, as the way that they put it, is remastered for Hitman 2. So you are essentially playing Hitman 1 of the remake in Hitman 2's sort of code and engine and updated graphics and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And that Legacy Pack is $20, but then there's a Legacy Pack upgrade that's $10. I didn't go into what both of those mean. So if you missed out on Hitman 1, even though that it's like on sale on Steam for like all the stuff on Hitman 1 for like $15 or something, just buy Hitman 2, the gold edition, and you just get Hitman 1. You're right.
Yeah.
So you're not missing out on anything.
Yeah, in fact, you're probably going to get the better version of it, if anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, I played that and I really enjoyed it, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to continue playing this. And so yeah, that was technically my week, because 3 of those days I couldn't do anything. I was just like either in bed or on my chair watching videos because I just couldn't move. Oh yeah, and I started making the website for a podcast. And
cool.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna request that you bring a camera on our next meet.
You mean for what, Bay Area Live?
Or if we're gonna do like our personal meetups, if we have anything planned, that'll be.
Oh, you mean like instead of the streaming thing?
Yeah, instead of the streaming thing. Yeah, in case we ever do that, like. No, I want to get a photo shoot of all of us doing something, because I couldn't really find any photos of us together, or just, a profile photo type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So yeah, I started doing that, and then yeah, that's I guess that's it.
Okay.
All right. So off with what went on this week. Well, we can go over what we all posted up here, but I just had one that came to mind immediately.
Cool. Shoot. Which
was Kojima wants to develop smaller games and anime and manga.
I remember hearing this headline.
Yeah, it was like a
And,
few days ago that I remember like hearing about it.
Yeah, and I was actually gonna say the comparison of like game to cutscene or movie ratio, and you compared it with like Metal Gear Solid 4, and it's like that's not really a fair comparison because Kojima wants to make movies. He wants to like make everything that is like not a AAA budget game or something that's astounding or the big grand thing. He wants to just make movies and other forms of media. He wants to spread his wings and, you know, at the ripe age of, how old is he? 50 something?
Yeah, I'm gonna guess so.
Well, but like, I mean, definitely, I think the anime and manga portion are like right up his alley. I mean, his stories are goofy enough as it is, so go for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um,
I mean, if you look at his legacy, right, his Metal Gear series, it's like it's like, you know, 80% or 90% serious and 10%, you know, just fun.
I mean,
I guess so, but like even with the even within those stories, it's like a lot of it's ridiculous. I don't know.
Ridiculous in what
kinda-
way?
I
In a serious tone, or like ridiculous as in like just goofy?
okay. I mean, like when the entire scene with Ocelot in Metal Gear Solid 3, where he like actually cries out like a cat and as like a call, like that entire scene, that's not goofy to you? Like that's not serious? I don't.
there definitely is
there's
some goofy mixed in with the series. 100%.
Yeah, I suppose.
I mean, maybe not on stuff necessarily like, I don't know. Was there, I guess I didn't play the last two Metal Gears. Do y'all feel like there was anything kind of goofy in there? I mean, there's always the fact that dude hides under a box and nobody knows where he is. Like, you know, stuff like that is kind of goofy. Or wasn't there like a boss who like was on roller skates or something in one of the maybe Metal Gear Solid 2 or something like that?
I totally
Roller
forget.
skates?
I swear there was like a boss that you had to that like was running around on roller skates. I don't know. I might be misremembering.
You know what? You might be right. I just can't think of it. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But in Metal Gear 5, you had some of your people from base escape, and like they were drugged up or something. They were like going crazy, but like they ran at 90 miles per hour away from you. So you had to like you had to trank them to get them to, like, that's not goofy. Like it, I don't know. Like it.
Oh
you
yeah,
can
it
say
definitely
that,
got stranger as the series went on. Like,
By the way, it
like
was-
after 3, I just felt like it started to falling off.
But it was Fat Man in Metal Gear Solid 2.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
oh my
remember now.
god. I think that the well, not harping. We're going on to like what he talks about. Everything that like Kojima has made with the Metal Gear series is like the underlying like theme. Yeah, it's serious, but then everything that encompasses that one tiny thing that is the serious matter, or the projection of politics and war and shit like that. All of it is just, it's batshit crazy. I that's how I think of like the Metal Gear series. So, but even then I still feel like that anime and manga, he could totally get away with it. I think it would still go well.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a question. I didn't see the article or anything like that where they talked about this, but did he give a reason why? Like he wanted to go more towards like anime and manga instead of doing like, you know, more traditional style Kojima games?
Because I think if you were to make like because I don't know, it didn't really say. It just said like that's what he wanted to do.
I'm kind of curious if it also could have something to do with like I imagine somebody that has like a bunch of ideas for things. It's like which arena is gonna allow you to do more games slash tell more stories. And I kind of feel like taking like the anime manga route is a little bit more sorry, excuse me, I got something in my throat. Um the way he does them like Death Stranding and like Metal Gear Solid and stuff like that, that seems like if he wants to make another game like that, it's probably not gonna come out for like, let's say it doesn't come out for like 5 years or something. I think that format or that style might limit him in terms of how many games he can do and how many stories he can tell. I wonder if that's like also part of it.
Um, I don't think that like the smaller games are going to really hinder what type of like whatever idea he wants to put out.
Yeah.
Just because like if you go through any of, I guess Death Stranding is actually a very good example when you read all the logs or you listen in on what people are talking about and stuff, you have a bunch of stories right there where it's like, here's a tiny story and all contained in itself. And you could have a game, say that like Death Stranding wasn't even a thing. You could have a game talking about this one tiny aspect of whatever the hell's going on in this world. And then you'd be done with it. So I don't think that like the smaller games are going to be, I
was thinking of it the other way around. Like if he wanted to stick to this format, it restricts the number of games and stories he can tell. Not if he switches to, I think if he switches to like anime and manga, he probably can tell more stuff and have it be more effective because you can kind of, I think it's not, I'm not gonna say it's easy, but it's probably a little bit more reasonable to like take, you know, a manga or something and make like a small game out of it. But it's like,
because his stuff is very narrative.
Yeah, and if you have like an idea like Death Stranding, I'm like, I don't know how, if that would be very easy to make a bite-sized experience that encapsulates that story. That'd be kind of, I feel like that'd be really challenging. Which I don't know the story. You would know more so than me, Zeldrick, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not putting words in his mouth. I'm just curious if maybe that's part of it.
I'm sorry, you're gonna need to explain like what is a part of it. Like I don't understand.
No. So I think you were thinking of what I was saying backwards. Like I was saying, I think if he wants to do smaller, more short form stuff, then like that, like the anime or manga is a little bit better tailored towards it, which to me would make sense why he might be like, let me try to jump into this arena to be able to tell like more stories, probably smaller stories, as compared to what he already does now, which is like tries to tell these massive stories that take like years to tell. Years to develop a game that can like tell this entire story. You know, if he's like 50 something, it's like how many more games can he do if they're all going to take 5 or 6 years to do? So,
well, no, I actually agree. Like I think that the smaller games in the anime and manga, he'll be able to do the little things.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, but as it says here, that it's anime and manga. And we've already seen that like, it was headlines a while ago that he wants to do a or multiple full length movies. He wants to do that.
Sure.
But the other one was that they have another big project in the works, like, you know, Death Stranding and Metal Gear and stuff like that. Like they have a big game in the works. They're already starting on that too.
Sure.
Though they did say, I say they because it's both Kojima and Shinkawa, because they go hand in hand. It's always them two together. They're actually unsure if they'll be able to manage the additional workload, like of all these side things plus the big one. Like they're worried about stretching themselves too thin.
Oh, okay, that
I'm
totally
not sure.
makes sense.
So I'm not really sure what they're going to do. It's like they're expressing, yes, they want to do all these things, but we don't know what we'll actually see of them. So
honestly, I think they just want to go back to basics.
I guess so. Like back to basics. I mean,
a more streamlined storytelling and all that in their games.
Right, but like before Metal Gear Solid 1, like Metal Gear and Snatcher.
I mean, I don't know about that back behind, but more like Metal Gear 1, 2, and 3.
Okay. But not like you say Metal Gear, but not Metal Gear Solid 1,
Okay,
2, and 3.
okay, Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3.
Thank you,
Yeah.
because those are completely different games.
Yeah. I don't know if there was a Metal Gear 3, but there was definitely
okay.
a Metal Gear 1 and 2. But anyways, yeah, so because if you look at like, especially Metal Gear 5, and although I didn't play Death Stranding yet, I will. There's Death Stranding. Like the story isn't really streamlined, right? It's an open world game, and then you can do whatever the hell you want in any really order, other than like the main story quests.
I mean, yes and no. Like I don't really know if it falls into like that. You can do any of the other things in any order you want. Because I guess it's my perspective on it. Because you have like these story missions, you can go to places actually like to pick up those main assignments, but then otherwise you go to any of those other bases and you have like a huge list of side quests that you could just do.
Yeah, and then are those side quests very like heavily, like does it contribute to the story in any heavy way?
Actually, yes. You get more information on the characters, their motives, their backgrounds, and you get more story on the worlds, the science of it, the history of what's going on. Like you get a lot of story by doing side quests.
Okay.
But like, I can tell you that if I would actually be disappointed if anybody didn't do any of the side quests, but you would get the main gist of the story of like what the problem and the situation of the characters are if you just plowed through the story.
Okay,
So.
I think that's like a flaw when it comes to streamlining a story then, because like if it requires you to do those side quests, you know, like if that was part of the actual streamlined story, then you know you wouldn't need to do those side quests. It's like if it was part of the actual game, like I think it would have made more sense. Like because like in Metal Gear 1, 2, and 3, right? Especially like Metal Gear 1, like you learn about like Sniper Wolf and stuff like that. And then like it's streamlined within the actual story itself. It's not like some side quest that you just go out and do to learn about, you know, that specific character, you know.
True. Metal Gear Solid 5 kind of did the same thing too, where they had like some side quests where it's just like you could learn more about this character.
Yeah, exactly. That's and then that became the problem with me with the Outer Worlds, right? Like, you know, you just started doing so many side quests that you lost track on who's who and all that.
I think it's more of a value, or a value of your time and how much you are invested into the game that you're playing. And once it gets to the point of your example with Outer Worlds, where it becomes, in your case, it was telling you to like keep doing side quests as a main mission. So I think that's a little bit different. But regardless, like, what I'm saying is that like how much investment you have into the world that you're playing, the game that you're playing, I think, I don't know. I think with Death Stranding, it pays off because you end up learning so much about all the other characters or about what the world is, or even just shower thoughts of whatever the fuck's happening. But I think that with these games, or with games, it's become more of a test of your investment into the game you paid $40, $50, $60 for. So
yeah, but you see what I mean, right? Like you just happen to have like a log of like 20 side quests in your journal or whatever the hell they use in Death Stranding, and then like
it's true. But you could either do it or don't. So if you want to do it because you are invested into it, then go ahead and do it. If you're not invested into it, then just go ahead and move along to the main story because you want to know what the actual like story of the timeline of the game you're playing is.
Yeah. Well, okay. So here he was. I guess I don't know if people have the problem with it, but I have a problem with it, which is like let's pretend. I'm gonna use the Outer Worlds because that's like the most recent open world game that I ever played. That I played. So like let's say like okay, here's one side quest is like saying okay, I want you to do this for me, and I want you to come back after it's done, and then like and trust me, it's very time sensitive, right? And then like you go out and like as you're going there's like another set of side quests that you find, and then you end up doing those, and then you go back to the side quests that you were doing earlier, and then you actually finish it, and then you come back to it like saying, oh, I'm so glad that you came here and or you actually came here and got that done. I was in the peak of trouble doing whatever the hell it is. And then it's like saying, yeah, I spent like 20 days like getting this done, even though it seems like you needed this done like 20 days ago.
Well, that's more of like a problem with the script. Not like,
I would say, how do you resolve that really?
Yeah, like you just change the script and not saying like, oh, this is an urgent matter, or like I need this right away. Or instead, with that one side quest that you're talking about that is urgent, you put a timer on it, and it's like, okay, I need you to bring me back whatever, like 5 carcasses of a bug like ASAP, and you have 1 hour to do it. Like that's how you resolve the script issue in 2 different ways.
But is that better? I don't think that'd be that better for me.
It's not better, but like that, what you're specifically describing is a problem with the script and how they handled that side quest. Not like, you know, how much you're learning about the character, like, and how many side quests there are. So, I don't know what to tell you about that.
Yeah, I think the best, like, you know, quote unquote open world game I ever played that actually made me remember everybody was Dragon Age Origins.
I I don't know about that one for myself.
I never played it. So
everybody I've ever heard about speak of Dragon Age Origins. They said they liked it, so I will take their word for it. I got halfway through it and I could not play it anymore. I was actually kind of over encumbered with as much dialogue and story, and like I also am at fault because I played it in 3 separate chunks with a lot of time in between. So I wasn't remembering much. Plus, like, the combat to me was like,
oh yeah, that definitely is dated.
Yeah. So I did try playing this a long time ago, and I wonder if I could actually find the time of when I at last played it.
I'm pretty sure there's like mods to make, you know, like modern, like it modernizes it.
Right. But yes, I think I will bow with, and I guess take everybody's word for it that Dragon Age Origins has a lot of great characters in a world.
And how they introduce them and how they actually tell the story is really well done. That actually, like, you know, you actually remember who they are, especially like when you're out just camping and then you're just talking to people. Like, it's like the things that they say, right? Like it like you want to learn way more about them than just like some garbage storyline that somebody just put together in like 10, like, I don't know, I would say an hour.
Right. Red Dead 2 did that for me as far as like the most recent game.
Oh yeah.
For an open world game. Red Dead 2 actually had a lot of good characters, but I think that also it helps when all the characters are very distinct from each other. So, as far as for like main characters go and stuff, like you could totally point them out and be like, oh yeah, like I like you because like of this specific reason, or I like you because of X, Y, and Z, or I hate you, you're the asshole, I know that, like, so I think that kind of also helps as far as for modern games is a game that has good characters are the characters are diverse from each other, so you can easily like point them out. But also, I guess it goes for movies too and TV shows. Like what makes a really good cast is one way, anyways, is if you have a diverse cast, but they all work well with each other in many different ways, and they like have some sort of uh, um, nuances between each other. Like these two characters don't work with each other, and here's a good situation, and yada yada yada. So, I am digressing too hard, but yeah, Red Dead 2 did that for me recently.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, a lot of the times it just feels like, you know, that movie The Room. You know what I mean? It's just like pointless scenes somewhere. It's like why did that scene exist in this movie? It's kind of like that. Like that. Well, it's more like, yeah. And then I was like saying, so is this character relevant to the story? You know, it's kind of like that for me on a lot of these modern open world games.
Well, T, what about you? Was there any like open world game that you played that had good characters in it, or you know, something along
More
those
like
lines?
good and bad.
I mean, I guess it kind of depends. Like, Grand Theft Auto definitely comes to mind for me, but part of the reason why that sort of works for me is because there's very few of them that you're supposed to actually kind of remember. So, like, I don't know how much that open worldness is really impactful in that sense. Like, it was Grand Theft Auto 5 was an open world game, and like I like the distinct difference in character and like the interactions between the three main characters, but it's not like I felt like, oh, there were so many interesting characters I was running into. Feel like the only person I remember is like Frank's son. Is Frank's the like white guy, right? And his son was like the kind of wannabe
the wannabe gangster who was a gamer too.
It is
and just
exactly.
Totally.
That's why I remember. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't really play necessarily that many open world games, just because how big they get. But so I don't know if I have much reference other than that.
Okay. Well, anyways, let's move on. I feel like we've been on this topic for too long.
That's fine.
Let's see. Well, speaking of movies,
Mm-hmm.
in fact, there's two stories here, right? One is Uncharted the movie script, and another one is the Witcher anime movie.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, the quick thing that we can say about, or what I know about the Witcher anime series is that
well, it's not a series; it's a movie.
Oh, it's a movie. Okay,
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be an anime like episodic series. It's the same studio that did Legend of Korra that's animating and drawing it.
Okay, so it's not Madhouse. Good.
I don't know what Madhouse
Madhouse
is.
did Devil May Cry anime.
Ah, okay.
And that movie, that show was boring as fuck.
Well, there's a difference between the studio that draws it, or there's a difference between the studio and then the writers, because the studio is that they have a title for is who draws and animates it, and then you have writers and everything else that's kind of like they bounce off each other. Like those are two different things. And as like an article that I read, like that's how they put it. It's the studio that of The Legend of Korra that is drawing and animating it. And I actually forget who's writing it. It's two different people that are writing it. Were you able to get that?
Oh, I don't know.
Not sure.
Well, as we're getting that, the Uncharted movie, I mean, this has gone into production hell.
Yeah, like this
it's passed off.
It's like
almost a decade.
It's been like 8 different directors, right?
Yeah, so like this, I think they've gone through 6. Yeah, they've gone through 6 directors. So they're trying to find someone to direct it now, which will be the 7th. and they've been trying to.
Okay.
I mean, it says it like in the article they've been trying to make it for 13 years. I'm like, come on, guys! Like at some point, I don't know. At some point,
What
you
makes
can either
it
throw in the
difficult?
towel.
I don't understand what's making this so difficult.
Well, I mean, I imagine part of there's probably a lot of different reasons, but I bet you a big part of it is just like, getting the right people, like having the right vision for it. There's just like I'm sure a huge part of it is probably like too many cooks in the kitchen type of thing, where it's like the director might have a certain vision for it, and then like executive producers have it, and producers have like another vision, and it's kind of like, oh, we should do it like this, and it's just kind of like contention, and I'm sure it's just like all kinds of things that go into like why it didn't happen. But I don't know, do you guys care, not about care about this as an event, but I'm saying conceptually, do you care to see an Uncharted movie?
Yes.
I care only because
Is it because of that short film?
I don't know about short film. I didn't.
It was the one with what's the guy's name from Firefly? Main the main guy in Firefly.
I know who you're talking about, but I don't remember this
Anyway,
at all.
like somebody, I think he did like a short film of Uncharted, kind of like how they did like a couple years back. Someone did like I think it might have been. I don't feel like Michael Jai White is coming into my head for some reason. Anyway, somebody did like some sort of prototype short film of what a Mortal Kombat film could look like. Do you remember that one? They did the same thing with like Power Rangers. They did Mortal Kombat, not the same people, but and then someone also did like an Uncharted one. And actually, I think Thomas Jane did like a Punisher one, that sort of thing, where people are like kind of make these like short films that actually have a budget to them, so that they come out looking like really cool, or like at least like really well done. Why can I not remember this dude's name? That's so frustrating.
Nathan
Fillion. There you go. Yeah, he did like a short film about Uncharted, which actually to me definitely sort of it captured the vibe, it captured like Uncharted. If even Nathan Drake felt like pretty good, but even after watching that, I think I was like, I don't really care to see an Uncharted movie because the games kind of play out like movies. So
okay,
it's like,
well, here's why. I have a reason why I want to see it. It's because there hasn't been a good Indiana Jones movie.
Since Indiana Jones?
Since Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade.
Yeah, but the reality of it is like Nathan Drake is only part Indiana Jones.
Yeah, with humor. And you know that short film? It didn't really capture the humor of.
I mean, he did okay. Yeah. But when I say he's only part Indiana Jones, the reason why I say that is like part of the charm of Indiana Jones is that he doesn't just go around shooting everybody. That's definitely what Nathan Drake does. He just shoots everybody. So it's kind of like, I mean, I guess you could make one where he's not really killing people necessarily, but like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna like. I don't know if it's gonna. I imagine like Tomb Raider, right? I have a feeling it's gonna be kind of like that, where yeah, they're supposed to be exploring all these cool ancient places and seeing all these things, and it's just like it. I don't think it's gonna capture the same. They can't do it on the same scale as the video game does it. So I feel like it's not gonna be. It's gonna feel kind of underwhelming.
I think I just picked up like kind of a good example for like in what direction it should be going, because I feel like the games already as a plot go this route. National Treasure. Do you guys ever see that?
Yeah, Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. So like I feel like that National Treasure would be a good example as far as for like what kind of direction they should be going off of.
I get that.
Sort of like an example. Because as you say, like Nathan Drake is like shooting guys like all the time, but the more of like the plot that you're playing out, aside from like, you know, talking to people and like getting information from these different meetings or gatherings or whatever, is that you're finding secrets. You're finding the travel, the route to get from that is like one simple clue to the next, to the next, to the next. And then you get to the actual like grand prize that is the end of the game of like what the treasure was, and the reality of it and stuff like that. So
But I think the thing that would be missing outside of maybe if it ended up having a lot of like visual effects, like a lot of CG in it, is like one of the complaints that I always had, and I think I've said this at least 10 or 12 times when I went through and played the entire Uncharted series. I think it was like maybe 3 years ago or something like that. One of the things I kept saying was like, who had enough money to build this place? Like every time you go into a place, there's something with like a massive door, and there's something where like a huge gear on the wall where you have to like move something, and that makes this thing move, and something else opens. It's like, how do you do that in a live action movie?
CG.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to think, what's an example of something where like you're not literally just showing the main character basically in CG all the time. At which point it's like, why aren't you just making like an animated movie? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like they could build this big room. Like they could they could virtually build this big room. We've seen them do it in plenty of things, but it's like the kind of stuff that they have you do in Uncharted. It's like, can you make that into a 2-hour movie where it makes sense, to where it's like, oh, he had to go through a lot of effort to solve these puzzles, or he had to like, it was super dangerous while he was trying to solve them without it looking super cheesy. I don't know. I feel like that's what reminds me of Tomb Raider, where it's the Angelina Jolie one, where you're just gonna get him like jumping off a wall, grabbing onto a rope, swinging over, catching onto the side of a cliff, climbing up, and then he's in the room, like probably barely, maybe solves like one little puzzle or whatever, and then he has the prize or whatever. It's like,
I mean,
yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Indiana Jones, like, is kind of the same thing, like, and The Mummy, like they did the same thing. I'm not saying The Mummy is a good movie, but I'm saying is that they still did it, and in between all those like different rooms and traversing and everything, they have character interaction, or they have puzzle solving, or
yeah, but
whatever.
it was usually like, I mean, maybe I'm forgetting Indiana Jones movies. You guys, it's been a while. I haven't watched them since like probably around when they came out. But was anything really that intricate of a puzzle, or was it just kind of like, there's this idol I remember the idol in the middle of the room. He takes it off and drops something else on it that's supposed to weigh exactly the same. Doesn't work. He runs away from the rock that's rolling down
like the Temple of Doom.
After him. Yeah. That kind of thing where that's I get that. That's definitely like an example kind of him raiding a tomb, as you might want to put it. But like, it's like, I don't know. Did he ever really have to did he ever really enter a place and have to solve anything else than like one problem? Like I remember,
Indiana Jones?
Yeah, like again, like I said, it's just been a while since I watched it. But you know what I mean? Like Uncharted is usually about solving, like, if they're trying to if they're trying to keep this, sort of evil entity in a room, they hide it behind a whole lot of stuff. And the reason, like, you have like a whole bunch of puzzles in like navigating the room and stuff like that you have to solve in order to get this to happen. It's like, how do you execute that in a 2.5-hour movie where it doesn't feel like he just showed up and then like, all he had to do was point light at something, and then like all of a sudden the door opens.
Well, again, National Treasure did that exact thing you're talking about.
Sure, but that was, again, haven't seen that one in a while either, but wasn't that more so just like him just constantly solving puzzles, and then every once in a while the bad guys would show up and be chasing him?
That's actually what Uncharted is.
No, like, Uncharted, he always walks into somewhere where they already are. They're never really chasing him. They're kind of going after the same thing as him at the same time. So he ends up getting there. That's kind of where the action almost always ends up happening, is like he shows up and people are already there.
I guess you can see the new Tomb Raiders are doing that too.
There is a chunk of the Uncharted games where nobody is there, and then he gets to like 100%. Halfway through the level or whatever, and then it's like, oh shit, they showed up. Like then they show up, not like they're already there from the beginning. So
Yeah,
it's
sometimes
kind of
that's
a
what
mix
happens.
of
Sure.
it's a mix of they're already there, they show up when he's there, or he's there first, and then he has to get out after they have arrived when he's already like all the way and he picked up the thing that he needed to have solved or record, and then he has to go back out through a wave of enemies. Like it's a mix.
Yeah, I guess maybe I just
But
have
it's
like I always have not issues, but I always have a hard time seeing somebody translate something that big into like 2.5 hours and have it still somehow like do enough story development and character development and enough action and enough like puzzle solving and stuff like that. Games in a lot of ways feel like unless they're really story focused, they end up like being super hard to translate to a movie.
This is true. And Uncharted 4 did have a lot of scenes where it was character development and plot and stuff.
That
sure.
I need
You know,
to play that. Fuck, I totally forgot about
Oh,
that.
yeah. I mean, you could borrow from me if you want. I got all of them still.
But even with Uncharted 4, like that would be hard. I guess it's all of them that there's more gameplay, or sorry, not more gameplay, there's more plot in each individual iteration of Uncharted that you could not fit into one single movie, like to get all the points across. I mean, because Uncharted 4 deals with Drake's history
when
and
he
his
was a
brother,
kid and his brother and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
and then it also deals with his current situation now of like having his company and then getting back with I want to call her Elaine. It's not Elaine,
might be
but
Elena or something.
Elena,
Yeah.
I think, getting and like meeting up with her again, and like, and then you have the current, the actual overall plot of the situation of everything that like is from A to B to C of the timeline of Uncharted 4. Like, it's hard to fit all of that into one movie,
Sure.
and like maybe a little bit less so in Uncharted 1. So, but you still run into that problem. So you won't be able to get like the character developments, all of it, or you may not get all of the underlying plot of Drake's fortune or whatever. Like there's too much there to translate into one movie, and it's difficult.
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily saying that like everything has to go into a single movie, but just more so like, kind of like what I was saying with After Party, where it's like enough where you don't notice that stuff is missing. And I'm not saying as a fan either, but I'm saying like, let's say somebody's never played Uncharted and they go to watch it. It's like, is there enough character development? Or if or if you have a fan watching it, it's like, does this feel enough like the actual game? Or like, is there, like Sharpie said, is there enough like humor coming from Nathan Drake? And I don't know. I don't know if I want to see what that looks like when they try to translate it all.
Yeah, I think what would save that film, or I guess it's in general video game movies, is that how fun is the movie? Like if it's kind of, I mean, I'm probably going to piss a lot of people off when I say this, but if it's just like, the last few Star Wars movies where it's just like I shut my brain off and is like, is it fun to watch? Is it like all the pretty lightsaber battles, or like all the ships, like your shit blowing up and everything? Is it fun to watch? Then okay, like you did it. But otherwise, like anything else, if you try to like shovel in plot in between all that, like it's gonna be really hard to.
Yeah, I honestly think they just gotta make, if you make an Uncharted movie, just make an Uncharted movie. You don't have to make Uncharted 1. You don't have to make Uncharted 2. It's just like, understand who the character of Nathan Drake is, understand what the vibe of the game is, or the vibe of the universe, and like build it kind of out similar, but don't try to like, I don't know, the minute they try to like stick a little bit too heavy to like, this needs to be just like the game, or when they go way too off left field when they're like, oh no, we're just going to take the name. Either one of those is just like, it just falls apart. So,
Right.
yeah.
I mean, before we move on, like one last thing. What if they did Uncharted 1 only, Drake's Fortune, but to cover all the bases, they made 3 movies?
Honestly, wouldn't be mad at that.
Okay.
if you figured out a
Um,
good way to like split it up and sit out weird, there was kind of like a good cliffhanger at the end of one or whatever, leading into two, kind of like what they did with was it the Harry Potter, the last two ones? If you could figure out a good stopping
yeah.
Make
point,
it part 1 and part 2.
yeah, if you make it a good stopping point to where it's like, okay, that felt like it's a movie by itself, but we know that there's still more that we need to see and like looking forward to it and stuff like that, it probably will work.
Yeah. I think that that's a sort of thing that if anybody or any director wants to pick up like a video game and make a movie out of it, like don't try to make it one movie. If you're actually going to do it, make it a couple parts.
Yeah.
At least 2 parts, so that way you're doing the game justice, or you're attempting to do it justice, and like getting as much across as possible.
Like some sort of a grand adventure, like how they did it with Lord of the Rings.
Or Lord of the Rings, that's a great example. Yeah.
Each with its own arc. Each movie is its own.
Yeah, they
arc.
have to feel like their own. They have to feel like they were at least a good movie on their own. It can't just be like, oh, this one's an okay one and this one's an okay one, and you put them together and it's like, oh, that whole thing is good. It's like, yeah, it should feel like it's its own, not standalone, like it has to have like everything wrapped up at the end, but it has to be able to stand on its own merit.
I mean, how much of Uncharted is just straight up shooting people?
A lot.
Right? And then I'm looking at how long to beat.com right now, and this is average time to beat the main story is like 8.5 hours, or if you're rushing, it's like 6 hours.
I feel like that's if you're rushing, you played it before and you like, so you don't die very much. Not to say you'll die like crazy, but that sounds like a little bit of an underestimate. You talking about for 4?
No, the first one.
The first one? Yeah, I think the first one, it might take me like, I think 8 hours is reasonable. 8 or 9 hours. I feel like.
And then how much of that is just gameplay of shooting people?
I mean, there's really only like 3. There's kind of only 3 types of gameplay in Uncharted. It's like you're shooting people,
puzzle solving.
You're like swinging and like climbing on things, or you're puzzle solving. That's about all you do in the game. So, I mean, it's gonna be a significant amount of each of them.
So I can get something across about the Witcher anime. Bo DeMeo and Lauren S. Hishrick are writing it, who both wrote the Witcher TV or the Netflix series already. So
okay,
people that are already with the plot of the Witcher series.
Sense.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think they did that really well.
I also want to make one last comment, because I don't know why I find this so hilarious. I'm not sure why they mentioned this in this article, but they were like, it originally was supposed to come out December 18th, 2020, which I'm like, no, probably not. That's pretty quick considering they haven't even started, like they haven't gotten a director yet. But then they pushed it back to March 5th, 2021, which is not anything noteworthy about that until they say that's bad news for He-Man. And I'm like, He-Man? Like, were people like super excited about a He-Man movie or something? Did you guys know there was a He-Man movie?
No. I thought He-Man was like just a meme.
Oh no! I mean, he was a super popular cartoon and toy.
No. I mean, like making it now.
Oh, I mean,
people would just make a movie for meme purposes.
I mean, you know how it works. Like everything eventually comes back around. So I'm sure the minute somebody started hearing about, oh, there's a bunch of memes about He-Man, and like that people are like, oh yeah, or even the fact that like certain toy franchise movies like did well or something, people start going through the list of which ones haven't had a movie in a while. So yeah, that's funny. There's a Masters of the Universe that was scheduled for March 5th, 2021. So I just thought that was interesting, because I'm like, I don't know when that became important enough to be like, oh, now, if we push Uncharted, it might get in the way of He-Man. Like, right.
I don't think anybody's worried about that. I don't think anybody's worried about that.
Anyways, let's move on.
What people should be worried about, though, is with the Final Fantasy VII Remake delay. I know that this is, like, everybody knows about that. However, if you've already pre-ordered Final Fantasy VII Remake, Square Enix is going to tell you through an email that you have to claim your pre-order again, or else they will just take it away from you and give you your money back.
Great.
Yeah,
That's all we need to know, right?
Well, the other thing is, like, something that's funny to bring up about this too is that in North America, you will get this email that says you have to reconfirm your pre-order. However, if you're in Europe, then if you don't click the link, you confirm the pre-order. You have to click a link to cancel your pre-order. It's super backwards.
Huh.
Like, yeah. And I just thought it was funny.
I wonder what the reasoning is for that.
Not
even necessarily the Switch, but what do you think the reasoning is for like making somebody have to reconfirm their pre-order?
I think what it is there's this is me basing it off of nothing, but a lot of people, or have people on social media that is just like, what? It's been delayed for X amount of days. X could mean anywhere from 2 weeks to 6 months.
Sure.
And they'll still say, fuck that, I'm canceling my pre-order. And if they don't, like, it's like a preemptive sort of like, oh, well, you have to click the link if you want to, like, actually confirm your pre-order.
So theoretically, if nobody
do
clicks the link, they cancel every single pre-order they have.
Pretty much. Yeah.
That'd be hilarious, because I bet you, I mean, there is the potential. You got to kind of remember that, like, some stuff that's not supposed to end up in junk mail sometimes ends up in junk mail. It's like,
this is true.
What if, like, somehow their email got identified as spam, so people weren't necessarily, a bunch of people, I'm sure a bunch of people got it, otherwise we wouldn't be hearing the news of it. But imagine if there was, for some reason, it just like most of it went to spam, and then they just lost all their pre-orders, and people didn't even know because it just went to their spam inbox. That'll be so.
That's true.
That's weird.
As we all say, well, I don't know about you two, but as I always say, don't pre-order games.
I'm still gonna pre-order this game, dude. I'm gonna play this game. I'm just not gonna pre-order it for any other reason than just like so I don't have to worry about it when it comes out. It just shows up.
Well, I mean, you say that, but I mean, I got Resident Evil 3 remake for 25% off for PC. So I pre-ordered that shit. That's the only reason why I pre-ordered it.
Green Man Gaming.
Yeah.
Yep. So you say don't pre-order games, but holy shit, if I can get a quarter of the game's actual price off, I'll fucking
I mean that is if you're gonna play it immediately, then that makes sense if you're gonna get it like
that. I think this one's getting played immediately.
I mean, I'm gonna pre-order this eventually. But yeah, PSA to everybody.
Actually, it's first coming out console, right? PC's not coming out day and date,
what?
Right? Is it?
For what?
For
7
Final Fantasy.
It's not coming to PC?
I don't know. I don't feel like I've heard which platforms is it supposed to be on release date.
PS4 only?
It's only on PS4. It's not even on. It hasn't officially been announced for PC.
Yeah.
Got you.
Well, it's coming out on PC.
Well, I just but I just say that because like if you're talking about the concept of discounts and stuff like that, then you're probably not getting that for PS4. It's just gonna we get that for PC because we have sites like Green Man Gaming, but I usually get it for the console on day one.
Right.
Anyways, so check your emails, guys. That's it. Anyways, here's something which it's like your first thing that was posted here, which was Overwatch League and Call of Duty and Hearthstone esports will only be on YouTube. I think we're starting to head into that direction, guys.
Go further with that. What is this direction?
Which direction do you think? You mean like YouTube taking over or something in terms of like the gaming live streaming platform?
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems like it's at least an attempt to kind of increase their footprint in that space, but the question is, will it take over? I mean, I know like obviously esports are like huge at this point, but I don't know. Like, let's say for you, for example, what do you think the likelihood is that even if you're watching like not Overwatch League? Yeah, I guess you would. Do you watch Overwatch League, Sharpie?
I watch
probably would
pretty
more
much
watch
every
Hearthstone,
big
right?
esports event.
Do you?
So there's a line that you need to pay attention to on this article. The 2-year Twitch deal is expired.
Yeah, expired.
So now they're like, okay, maybe we can go somewhere else. Like, it's not like, oh, you know.
But I mean, I think what we're kind of saying that like, that's why I was saying at least this feels like an attempt to sort of increase their footprint in that space, because they probably put in a bid and said like, let's just buy out the rights to, to have this stuff on YouTube versus Twitch, because I'm sure Twitch still probably put in a bid for it as well.
Right.
But I don't know. I think I don't, for some reason, like when I think of YouTube, I just don't think
Live
of
streaming.
esports and live streaming. Yeah. Maybe
Yeah,
because it's not
you'd be
really
surprised how many people watch live on YouTube, because most of the
Watch
time
live,
people
like
are
what?
there just because it's YouTube, right?
Well, sure,
Like YouTube.
sure.
YouTube is like what, number 2 in all like in the world.
I guess
So
maybe
people are already there, and then like it's like saying, "Oh, look, this is happening," right? It's not like you go on like you go to Twitch for any other reason than seeing like your favorite streamer.
no,
by now.
that's pretty much it.
You don't go there to watch like VODs.
Yeah, most people probably don't, unless it's their favorite streamer.
I mean,
they
like
missed.
the primary purpose of you going there is like, oh, I want to watch this guy's VODs. It's like you don't really go to Twitch for that. Like a lot of people like try to search for it on YouTube.
But do you feel like a lot of people go? I mean, obviously the numbers can reflect this. A lot of people go to YouTube for live, though. It almost feels like to me like they kind of are different beasts, in the sense that like Twitch makes, because it's very specialized, it makes a lot of sense to be like, oh, if I want to see like a live gaming event, I go to this like very specific. Well, I guess it's they
Okay,
have,
well,
like,
here's
just
the one
chat
thing
and all
that
kind of
YouTube
stuff.
does really well on their live platform is being able to rewind.
Sure, which you definitely.
This is true. You could kind of
You
do
mean
that
while you're
on
live,
Twitch, but
yeah.
it's actually way out of the way to be able to
Yeah,
do
you
it.
have to open up another window or just like completely click out of the live session. It won't even continue when you finish. It will only play up to the point where you selected it.
Or you create a clip and then you go back to that one piece that you missed, and like you scrub through, like, I don't know, I think the last 2 minutes, 3 minutes or
Mhm.
something like that. Yeah. Or you do that. So to be able to rewind is like a big feature when it comes to live streaming anything, or for like big things kind of like this. You need to be able to rewind it.
Yeah, and then that's what YouTube does really well.
Yeah. Though there is something to note when it comes to live streaming and stuff, and between these two platforms. And I actually posted the quote here. Activision and Google also touted that YouTube Gaming's 200 million strong daily active user count, which gives these events a bigger potential audience than Twitch's 15 million. But YouTube's 200 million do not currently watch as much live stream content as Twitch's comparatively, as far as for like, as far with ratio.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Like I said, like Twitch owns like somewhere between 73 and 76% of the live streaming market, and YouTube owns like 20-some percent, like 22, 23% of the live streaming market. Yeah, so like, and then people think Mixer is second. No, they're way behind YouTube.
I assume Mixer was way behind. Do you guys think that this is gonna, like, I get the point. There's obviously like more people potentially that could be watching these esports events if they're on YouTube because they just have a bigger audience. But do you think that's going to lead to more people watching it?
It'll definitely help. Or at least
it doesn't hurt
like
them.
I said this before, like YouTube doesn't have an acquisition problem right now. Twitch does.
Well, are you talking about acquisition of like partners?
No,
and stuff?
acquisition
like,
of users.
Okay.
Right, like people don't just go on Twitch to do anything else other than watch, a live streamer, and it's hard to find a streamer that you can possibly connect with unless you're really, really big, and you can't really get discovered unless you're live on Twitch. right? And then so like YouTube, it's just it's just so easy to just get discovered even if you're not uploading, because you don't need to be on. Yeah.
But I'm more just thinking about like, even though they have a bigger, do you think it'll translate that having more people on Twitch, kind of like that, the line that Zeldrick read earlier, having more people on Twitch is actually on YouTube is actually going to translate to more people watching these esports events?
Possibly.
I honestly kind of don't think it will.
Why not?
Because because it's like super specific in the sense of like I think about Counter-Strike, for example, right? The fact that I'm not really, you're obviously a fan of Counter-Strike. I'm not necessarily, I don't have anything against the game, but I wouldn't call myself a fan of it. Regardless of what platform it's on, I'm probably not going to watch it. It's not like I'll like turn there and be like, oh, look, it's on for a game that I didn't really have that much interest in, and that's going to bring in more people. Sorry, what I meant to say is like, it's not like if I went to YouTube and saw that Overwatch League was on there and I'm like, I was never really that interested in Overwatch, I probably would not be like, let me watch it now. It's just like another platform for me to not watch it on. Maybe I don't know, maybe Call of Duty because that's brand new. I don't know, it's Hearthstone. Hearthstone has leagues, but is this one new? The one they're talking about?
Call of Duty League has been a while. It has been a thing for a while.
Yeah, Hearthstone, yeah, there has been like the invitational with 2 ends. Right, like
yeah, that's what I'm saying. But the one that they're referencing in this article, like, is that a new one?
Hearthstone?
They're saying it's a new Call of Duty league.
Oh,
no, it's just like it's Hearthstone.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't really follow Hearthstone all that much because it's not that fun to watch because it is a card game for me. Like for me, it's not that fun to watch. But
I think regardless, when it comes to the live streaming thing on YouTube, like I think this event altogether, because it's not Hearthstone, but Overwatch and Call of Duty, like those two are going to bring in, I think, more viewers to the like ratio of like live people watching a live stream on YouTube. I think it's going to boost those numbers up. Like, I think so, just because that YouTube is such a it's already a common platform. And if you have somebody that doesn't watch like live streams all that much or whatever, and they watch videos and then they see, oh, the Call of Duty League's on. All right, I'll go on to YouTube. Like, I feel like that more people go on to YouTube at all. Well, it says it right here, like there's 200 million like daily active user count. But even though that, like, say that their live stream count is less, the fact that it's Overwatch and Call of Duty, it's gonna help those numbers for like a small amount of time. Like, I think it's gonna get more views or more live stream people or watching than on Twitch when it was hosted on Twitch. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I guess I was just thinking about it in terms of like, for example, Ninja. It's like, what was my expectation? I know, and obviously, like, going from Twitch to Mixer is not as big of a platform, whereas this is the opposite, where it's like a bigger platform. But it's kind of like, I don't know, when you have this massive audience, you have an audience on one,
yeah,
and
but
just
remember,
switch platforms. Is it like enough to make you gotta like maintain that same level, or is it like people? People probably won't go because it's inconvenient because it's YouTube.
Here's
people
a big misconception about like people who were paid to leave Twitch. They didn't do it for the viewers. They did it.
No, I'm not talking about why they did it. I'm talking about whether or not it translates to a difference in the numbers of people on there. It's like, does your audience follow you?
Oh yeah, probably not. And then they don't expect. I don't think Ninja or like Shroud or even like people who move to like Facebook gaming like were expecting that either. They're like they're doing it because they don't want to stream for like 12 hours a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're given a deal by these companies to show up at events.
Yeah. And that's why I said I'm not really necessarily questioning like their reasoning. More so as like, it just conceptually the same thing with this is like, if you switch over, what happens to your numbers? Is it because like, is it that everybody just says, okay, now we're going to go literally everybody who was on this platform says we're going to go over to this other one? Do some people say it's, oh, now I don't feel like it's convenient? Or some people, do more people show up? Do less people show up? It's kind of like, I don't know how. I'm just curious how the numbers are going to play out. If the fact that YouTube is the bigger platform is enough to actually like justify, switching platforms.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I personally think so. From a, like if I were to think like a marketer, then yeah, I would think so.
Yeah. Okay.
I think what you guys are bringing up is completely aside from the point, because this is a huge event, or a few huge events, and not one single person going over to do a thing on YouTube. Like it's more like that it's a huge difference between the two topics.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the reason I'm bringing that up is because, like, theoretically, obviously, the point of it. Well, I mean, there's going to be money involved, obviously, too. But I imagine a big point of it is to increase the number of people watching it. So I'm curious if like that move is going to like have the effect that they think it's going to have. And I know it's different for like an individual versus like an event, but like there are like convenience, like people having to switch what they're used to. Like a lot of things do change people's actions that you don't necessarily expect. So like it could like it's like if they go over there, yeah, they might get like significant numbers, but like let's say there aren't as many people watching, for example, for whatever reason, I don't know, then what kind of impact does that have for like if they try to do it the next year or the year or the next season or whatever you want to call it, or the season after that?
It's kind of a weird topic to me because how hard is it to say, oh, it's not hosted on Twitch? Okay, I'm going to click two buttons and go to YouTube and watch the same thing. Like,
well, that's kind of why I drew the specifically the comparison to Ninja, because that same exact logic can apply to watching him on like Twitch versus Mixer. Really, it's just like I could click two buttons and I'm over on him on Mixer, but people a lot of times have a platform they're comfortable with. Like, I don't know, maybe they were like subscribed and like got benefits from being subscribed to like Overwatch League's like Twitch channel or something like that. Or I don't know, there could be a lot of reasons why somebody might be like, I want to stick to what I know, being Twitch versus like going to YouTube, which obviously I know that, but like it's just different.
Okay, well, here,
I don't know.
let me give you my experience this past several months that I've been on, since I was unemployed. So every time when I'm on YouTube and then like, somebody that I follow is live, I'm like saying, usually it's like, Linus Tech Tips, right? Like, they do like this weekly news thing on Fridays. And I'm like saying, oh, they're live right now, right? Like when I go to my subscription feed, and then like I just click into it, and then like whatever I miss, I can just rewind all the way back, and then like play it at like 1.5 speed or 2.0 speed, and then just listen to that all the way through until it reaches the end, and then it just automatically plays at 1x speed live. And it's like a very easily discoverable thing, because I sometimes forget that they're like live on Twitch because I was just on YouTube.
Sure. And I think that's kind of just, I mean, the only thing I have to say about that is just that, like, that's one of those things where, like, if you know, then it totally makes sense. But, like, a lot of people, potentially, I don't know what people's reactions are going to be to it. They might just all literally go over to YouTube and watch it. But a lot of people's reactions are when you switch stuff up, they just don't follow you. Not necessarily like they don't follow you as in, like,
well, initially.
They screwed. You're like, just like initially. It's like
people might initially say, sorry to interrupt, but people might initially say that, like saying, oh, you're switching to that. Oh, I'm not going to watch that just because it's not on Twitch. Like, yeah, people would say that, but eventually they will.
If it's good.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they could hear like, oh, this season of Overwatch League wasn't that great. And then all of a sudden you're like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I just think there's a lot of factors, and obviously, I think business-wise, realistically, the best decision is to go to YouTube.
Yeah, and YouTube,
I would do the same thing.
Yeah, and YouTube, like their super chat system, it's very interesting how they do it, and it's really well done.
Okay.
I actually will kind of make a distinction.
Okay.
That and I'm just it's part of like repeating what I previously said. For big events and stuff like that, tournaments and everything, like, yeah, we're all used to watching EVO and everything on Twitch and stuff, but I think realistically, because of the way that YouTube is formatted with their live streaming stuff and just their video player in general, like you get a little bit more conveniences over on YouTube if you host your tournament or your event over on YouTube. So I feel like it's better over there because like and you guys have already explained it. I come in like an hour later, it's like, oh shit, like I want to kind of scrub through while this break is happening of this past of whatever happened. Okay, I got caught up, and you can't really do that on Twitch. So
sure, which is why I was trying to say before, like I'm not trying to say that YouTube, I mean, I don't know. You guys, it sounds like you guys know more than me. I've like almost never watched anything live on YouTube, so it might be 100% more convenient. I guess I'm just more like, I look at the internet as a very like fickle place where like, yeah, something, not necessarily to say that I'm guaranteeing the downfall of like Overwatch League off of this, but I'm just saying like, to me, it's actually a significant gamble to just not out of nowhere, but like switch off to a completely different platform. It might not be as much of a gamble as I think it is, but it feels like it considering how much of I've seen people flip on things on the internet very quickly. But I mean, it probably is the better platform. But remember, I just don't know personally.
Like, us as modern humans, we gravitate towards something more convenient.
That's true. Like, if it's going to make our lives easier, I mean, we will naturally gravitate towards it, but like it's up to us individually to see like what is going to be better in the long run, if like putting in the hard work is going to make it a lot more convenient or better for us afterwards.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Yeah. Anyways, let's move on. Whatever you guys want to talk about, because I don't really care. By now, I already led like 3 or 4 topics.
Well, speaking of events, EVO Japan, we did touch base on that. With what did this
and Genesis
past week.
happened too.
We can talk about that too. But we got new character announcements. And I think there were only like for 2 games. Soul Calibur 6. They showed off a gameplay trailer for Hamaru, and it's a Hamaru. It's exactly right.
It's
like
exactly
him from
what it is.
yeah, from Samurai Showdown. And it's funny because they pit him against Mitsurugi from Soul Calibur. So
of course,
his ultimate, or I forget in Soul Calibur what it's called, but his super is just like from Samurai Showdown.
Yeah. It's kind of Dragon Punch whirlwind upper slash thing he does. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not any more showy or flashy, but it works, and it's essentially just plopping him in, taking him from Samurai Showdown, putting him in Samurai or Soul Calibur 6. So
you know what's weird cool. That I found that like I just watched the trailer again, and one of the things I just noticed is that I thought it was really cool when they initially announced it, but now it's almost like I think the fact that I'm seeing him in 2 different games is almost making me not excited about him anymore.
I think
at least because he doesn't look very different. It looks pretty similar to like what you know from Haomaru, so maybe that's what it is.
Yeah. Well, the other thing being that like it's like the art style of Samurai Showdown. Like it's his type of like facial features, the way they like modeled his face and everything. It just looks like it
looks a lot better though.
Yeah,
he definitely looks better than the Samurai Showdown's art style. Isn't amazing.
No, it's not. Yeah. But that's what I was gonna get at is that it looks like they put production time into Haomaru.
Oh yeah, 100%,
in this one.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I think it
So,
was
like-
Namco that designed him on this one, right?
That would make a lot of sense if that's the case. I don't personally.
Because I don't think
know.
SNK has a huge budget because they did go bankrupt at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and then he also has his stage too, and his sword slashes that look like it's calligraphy and everything. It's super cool. And after that, there was also the Samurai Showdown DLC announcement too, and they talked about 3 returning characters and then a 4th that is
and I bet
to be named.
every boy is excited for Mina.
So
and Iroha.
yeah,
I think more people are excited for Mina.
So it was interesting. Like when I
It's-
saw the trailer, both of these gave me like these. It's just interesting moments. Like when I saw this trailer, I was like, okay, I don't recognize. Like honestly, I don't remember. I remember the first. What's the first girl's name again? Is it Mina?
Yeah.
Mina.
Yeah, I remember her. I don't remember the second girl's name. Well, so I don't remember her from Samurai Shodown, the second girl. I think it's like an I or something like that.
Iroha?
Iroha.
Yeah, Iroha. So Getsu, I definitely remember. I figured he was going to be in there at some point. But like the interesting thing
Yeah, I don't
it gave me
recognize
was like,
Iroha either.
She's from Samurai Showdown 6.
oh, see, I didn't make it that far. I think I made it to 4.
She was also guest starred in Queensblade.
Oh, that's cool.
Pro tip.
Wait, Queens? Is that an anime? Or is it just a video game?
It is a anime. It's also a.
Is that the one where people's
manga.
clothes like come off while they're fighting?
I don't know. I'm reading this
If
article.
I remember,
on
they're like
Destructoid.
very busty girls that were
Dude, that's
close
what
to
I was
nothing.
gonna say. Like it made me. I was looking at this and I was like, I think this is the first time in a fighting game other than like Mai from like Fatal Fury where I was like, okay, y'all going a little bit overboard with these ladies. Like when you look at these girls, I'm like, I mean, obviously they're nice to look at, but I'm like,
I'm down for it. I don't care.
It's a little
I'm
distracting.
I'm not some 15-year-old boy. I'm 33.
It's a little distracted. Maybe it's because I'm starting to like fighting games more in terms of like the technical sense and stuff like that. But I'm just like, I look at the dudes and I'm like, okay, some of their outfits are a little bit unreasonable in terms of just like, probably in terms of like real martial arts gear, it wouldn't be like that. But the women are like, why are you dressed like a French maid? Like, I don't, like that guy Iroha or whatever, like she basically looks like she's a French maid. And I'm like, I don't get
But
what the
she is-
purpose of that is.
I mean, it says here she is a Japanese
There you
maid.
go.
So-
But why is she okay? So think about the characters. There's like one. I feel like there's one unique one, and that's Tam Tam. But even Tam Tam is like, for the character they created, it kind of makes sense ish. Like you're like, okay, he's wearing no shirt, but he's also kind of like this sort of almost like he has like it's like a native kind of character. Like like you might find him somewhere in an undeveloped part of the world kind of thing. In like
Right.
but like, why is the girl just like French maid and then like this other Mina, what's her story as to why she's like half naked? I don't it's like I don't get why everybody's story for women.
Because that's the distraction for all the guys that she's fighting against.
Is that what it is?
Because
I don't know. I remember
games.
watching like this Korean MMOs like interview with a bunch of cosplayers, and then they interview a bunch of girls saying, yeah, I thought wearing more armor is supposed to be protective, and then like this girl says, oh, because this revealingness makes it a distraction for all the guys out there.
Yeah, but I'm looking at like the dude fighters. It's like karate gi or whatever you want to call it with like cut off sleeves. And the cut off sleeves is like the unreasonable part. Like you probably wouldn't find that in that style in real life with somebody with no shirt on under it. But it's just like literally Mina, she has like a wrap around her waist that still is halfway down her waist and is covering up like a thong. Like who would fight in that?
Well, clearly Mina.
Yeah, I mean clearly. It's just interesting because like it's a trend. Again, I'm not saying it's not nice to look at, but it's just interesting that it's a trend that like still survives to this day, which I guess is because
it works.
Guys are still predominantly the video game players.
Well,
So-
I mean, not only that, it also works.
Works in terms of what? Like
Huh?
getting sales?
Oh, no. Like when it comes to like how attractive it looks to guys. And to, I guess, all the girls that wants to look attractive to guys that want to like have ideas.
Yeah, nobody's gonna walk out dressed like that.
No, but you know
Unless
what
they're
I
at the
mean. Like,
beach or
I don't
something.
mean it like publicly, unless you're at a cosplay event. But you know,
I think you had mentioned this before. I don't know if I'm on that same page. Do you think that that's what it is?
on what?
Like in terms of like, yeah, I think you had mentioned that there was some girl that you knew that was I don't know, her boyfriend liked some character or something like that, and so she like tried to dress like that character at home or something.
Yeah.
Did you mention something like that?
Mhm.
Yeah. Do you feel like that's a common thing?
I don't
Honestly
know.
feel like
I
all
was
they're
told
doing is
that.
Yeah, I feel like all they're literally, maybe it's different in other cultures. I don't feel like that's that way here, unless you're literally doing like cosplay for like, as a thing for your significant other. But
Yeah, I mean, I don't
honestly
think
just
he
feel like
asked
it's-
for it, like, but she did it for him because, like a lot of, because, like at least in my culture, it's like you try to, make other people happy first, or you try to do it for that. Like that's like a big significance thing that gets hammered into our head.
sure, I get that. But like, to me, that's still kind of indicative of the fact that if she saw that character that he liked it and she decided to dress up like that, the developers don't know that. So the developers still made the character based on what they thought dudes are gonna like, I assume. I'm just surprised, like, because I've seen characters with like cool designs where they're not necessarily like female characters where they're not necessarily like all completely scantily clad, and I'm surprised that doesn't like show up more often. Actually, not. I was gonna say Dragon Ball, but Dragon Ball only has like 2 female characters, I think.
What, Android?
Three.
yeah.
Sorry, Android 18, Videl, and Android 21. Which 21 actually might, I don't remember. She might actually have had kind of a revealing costume. Maybe. It was just interesting. It made me a little bit. It made me start to see like, oh yeah, I kind of get. Oh yeah, okay. So it's a little bit revealing in the sense that like showing off her stomach, strapless shirt type of thing. But it's not
With
crazy.
big, thick hair.
Always, yeah.
I mean, Android 18 is like very short and straight.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm cool with that. It's just like, I think maybe the problem was that they had 2 of them. 2 out of the 3 characters they showed were like that. Because if they would have just showed me 1 and then showed me like 2 dudes, or showed me 1 girl that was a little bit more reserved, like I think it's Nakaruru, or yeah, she's the one with the bird, right?
Yeah, and the wolf.
Yeah. Like, yes, they don't have her super revealing or whatever, but I think maybe it's because they just had 2 of them right there. It was like, yeah, this is the
it's
waifu
like saying
DLC.
you want her to be more revealing. I was like, I'm pretty sure you'll find that somewhere on the internet.
Yeah, I'm not
No, you
looking for
don't.
that, dude. I'm sure she's like 15. Yeah, I don't know. Did you think the characters look cool, Zeldrick?
I think they look fine, but like, I mean, both Iroha and Mina, like, obviously, I have a problem with just female characters wearing like absolutely nothing when they're in like the heat of combat. It's so stupid. It just because like, for one, we see it way too often, but 2, it's completely impractical. And I actually was there was a tweet that I quoted that was, what gaming trope would you like to go away in the year 2020 or in the next decade? And I said, the fact that women can't wear like heavy body armor, or like they can't look badass while wearing full plate mail like a paladin. Like,
Wait, there is a
and
character
not
like that.
have
Charlotte.
one.
Yeah, there you go.
You say one, but it's still a thing that happens, that has happened so many times. And like the example that I pointed out was the one woman from Game of Thrones. Oh my god,
Daenerys?
she was the same.
Or are
No,
you talking about
she was the
Brianna
same.
Tarth? You talking about her?
Yeah,
Yeah,
her.
yeah.
And she's the only example. I only watched like a couple episodes with Brianna Tarth in it before I completely quit on that. But still, like that was my example where it's just like I want to see in video games like female characters that are wearing full plate mail, that aren't always the I'm the sniper or I'm the healer or I'm the assassin trope with like wearing skin tight suit or wearing barely anything. Like give me the defender female character. So, and battle hardened. It's one that doesn't like her brain doesn't break after being in combat for 2 minutes. And that's the only combat she should like. Don't give me that shit.
Yeah, I think one of the funniest
Wait, you find that
examples of it.
shit?
No, I said don't give me that shit.
Yeah, I know. So
Like,
my question is, you find that like unattractive, or you don't like you really really hate it that like it should just completely go away, that it should never exist again.
Well, I'm not saying it shouldn't exist ever again, but I'm saying that bring the characters that are battle hardened, the ones that they go into battle or they go into danger and they immediately like they don't cry immediately. Like, don't give me that. Give me like the female characters that that save the day, not from crying, but from actually defending and attacking and or putting out the power. Like female activists that will. I'm joking, but like that's the thing that that's the thing that I'm talking about.
I think it's more like like characters that are very shallow versus like than just just empowerment in general. Like like even weak characters can be interesting if they put enough character development into them.
But the thing is that happens way too often, that you have the weak character that if say that you are given a story and you point to, okay, which are the weak characters, or like as in not personality, like they have a weak sense of personality, whatever, but like they are weak. They don't fight. They don't do anything like that. They are most likely female, or they are a child. Like those are the two things that you see most often. And I think for more, it would also be empowering if you had female characters that were that took a stand at all without, or that took a stand and were the leaders that went into battle.
Yeah, I think you just kind of have to have like some variety. Like I think like obviously when you talk about, if somebody cries or like somebody's like not the strong character, like those women exist, but so do those men. And like the strong characters, those women exist just like men. So it's like you can't always have the weak person or the person that's incapable or the person that like isn't just, doesn't just have the courage or whatever. You can't have it always be a woman. There's a lot of strong women out there. So it'd be nice to have, it's the same argument they say about like, movies. It's like, oh yeah, we get it that, in your head that like, this family was a white family, but it's like, there is a such thing as a black family too. You know what I mean? Like you gotta have some variety in there. I think that's all he's saying. It's like, yeah, because some of those characteristics are in women. So you can't say take it out entirely, because that's a lot of people will relate to that characteristic as well. The person who's weak, who finds the strength to win. But like some people just want to see the badass female, or some want to see the badass dude or the vulnerable dude.
Would Shiki be considered one?
So I think Shiki kind of she's Samurai Shodown. So I think Shiki is kind of another little example of like the problem, in the sense that like she kind of reminds me of, I think a great example is Dead or Alive with Ryu Hayabusa and Ayane, where it's like you have the male ninja and you have the female ninja, where the male ninja looks like a badass ninja. The female ninja, for some reason, is wearing like a onesie. Shiki is kind of like that same example. She's kind of dressed like Psylocke, where it's like, why would you wear that? it almost makes it like she's a great character. She's a badass character, but it's like you're still kind of like trying to doll her up to be kind of like a character, basically that guys will like rather than just being a badass female character.
Yeah, like why does she have a split in her dress? Like why is she showing skin? Like as like a ninja, like or you know. Why is the clothing so much different from like male to female?
Yeah, that's how I was like saying a good example is Ryu and Ayane. It's like they're conceptually the male and female version of like the same character, but they're dressed completely differently. Like the dude just looks like that. Like literally, he's dressed like a ninja with armor and has no sleeves. Probably no sleeves because they want to show off the fact that he has muscles, which is something that a lot of dudes value. And then if the woman is like, let's show a whole bunch of skin because that's probably what a lot of dudes value. So I don't know. It'd just be nice to like, honestly, I personally just want to see people create characters that like the only bias to them is the character you wrote. Like if you wrote them to be a ninja, it doesn't have to be a ninja dressed up like a female. She just looks like what you imagine a female ninja would look like. None of those girls look like what I would imagine a female ninja would look like, or a female like martial artist in any way. They all just look like.
Well, remember, like female ninjas, they were not like ninjas. They were actually like, you know, they act like citizens. Yeah.
It's not like they would dress up in the costumes or anything. Yeah.
But if we're going with the fantasy of ninjas and stuff, like in ninjas in combat, like if you're gonna put them in the same scenario,